Welcome to the day 7 of your writing. Today we are going to discuss the last type of the task 2 responses, and that prompt is about, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? If we compare it with the other essay type that was about discussing the advantages and disadvantages, this is a very different prompt, because in those essays they were asking us only to discuss the merits and demerits, but in these essays they use a comparative word such as outweigh, outnumber, or they might ask you, is it a positive or a negative development, right? So you can see from the prompt statement that this is not a plain discussion type essay. Rather, this is a comparative essay where we need to compare the positive and negative aspects of a particular situation that has been given in the topic, and then we need to provide an answer whether the benefits are bigger than the drawbacks or whether the drawbacks are bigger than the benefits. So first of all, as a student, you must know that you need to identify which kind of prompt you have been given on a particular test day, whether it is a discussion essay or a comparative essay. So for the identification, you will have to know the prompt sentences that are most commonly used by your examiners. Those are, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or do the advantages outnumber the disadvantages, or they might ask, is it a positive or a negative development? So if you see any of these prompt statements, you can clearly identify that I need to compare the positive and negative sides in this essay. However, if they simply ask you what are the merits and demerits, or they might ask you discuss the positive and negative impact, then you can identify that that is a discussion type essay. So let us see. If we have identified that today we have got the comparative essay for advantages and disadvantages, what is the structure we need to follow? There are going to be 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph will be about the introduction. Body para 1 will have the positive side, body para 2 will have the negative side, and body para 3 will be used to compare. And then, of course, the last paragraph will go for the conclusion. Let's see it further. How we may organize the content. So the introduction is going to have the topic and the thesis statement. Thesis statement means the answer to the question asked. I mean, you need to tell them in the introduction itself whether it is a positive development or a negative development, whether the positive side is bigger or the negative side is bigger. Then body para 1 will have 2 advantages. 2 disadvantages will go in body para 2, and the third para will simply compare these advantages against these disadvantages, proving which side is the bigger one. And conclusion, of course, is just wrapping up the main ideas that have been discussed in body para 1, 2 and 3. If we think about the connectors that are to be used in these paragraphs, of course, introduction would not require any kind of connector to start. However, you might use the words like adverbs, certainly or undoubtedly, in order to start your introduction statement. The body para 1, because it is going to discuss the positive side of the situation, so you may start it like on the brighter side. Then body para 2 will start with a clear contrast connector that's on the darker side. And because the body para 3 is going to compare these two aspects, so the connector that is most suitable is comparatively. Then for the conclusion, as we always use to conclude or in conclusion to recapitulate as per your convenience, or you may just use some natural connector for the conclusion paragraph. Then if we think about how many ideas we need to think of in this kind of essay, of course you are going to think of more, think about 4 main ideas, 2 benefits and 2 drawbacks. For the body para 3, you don't need to think about any other idea, but you just need to answer these 2 questions: why one side is smaller. For example, if you decide to write that benefits are smaller, then in the body para 3 you must answer us with the reason why the benefits are smaller, and also you need to tell us why the other side is bigger, I mean why the drawbacks are bigger. So in the body para 3, you just need to compare these 4 main ideas against each other, proving if the benefits are bigger, why, or if the drawbacks are bigger, why. Then in the conclusion, of course, we don't put any new main idea, we just wrap up the response to the prompt asked. For example, if we need to understand how the content of the introduction para will go, the introduction, of course, is going to have the two main things. First is the topic. You need to write the topic, paraphrase it, rephrase it in your own vocabulary or sentence structure. Then the thesis would be, though it has its own share of merits and demerits, yet the dash side is bigger. It's your choice whether you want to say the positive side is bigger or you want to say the negative side is bigger. You have to think about it with much thought and deliberation which side you want to choose to be bigger in this particular essay. If you recall the other essay where we were just discussing the benefits and drawbacks, we were writing it has its own share of merits and demerits as discussed further. In those essays, we were not telling them which side was bigger, but in this essay, you have been clearly asked the question whether it is a positive thing or a negative scenario. So you have to give us a very clear answer that yet the positive side is bigger or the negative side is bigger. Then in the body para 1, because we know that we are going to keep two benefits for the topic. On the brighter side, there are several positive attributes associated with it, but two are main. Then by using an idea connector, like first of all, you're going to state the first benefit, explain it a bit, and you might support it with a relevant example. Then apart from this is a connector used to connect the second main idea, that's the second benefit related to the topic. You would explain it equally as the benefit number one was explained, and then you will be closing this paragraph. On the other hand, on the darker side, the concerns also cannot be ignored. So here you have to think about two drawbacks that are associated with the situation presented in the topic. So first and foremost is going to be your idea connector, and you might state your first demerit, explain and exemplify it. Then you might connect your second demerit with a connector like note only this and explain it a bit. Make sure that the number of ideas in body para 1 and body para 2 are equal. Also, that all the four ideas are equally and fully developed. Don't over exaggerate on one point. Don't just write single line for the other idea. You have to balance all the four main ideas. Even if you're going to prove the positive side to be bigger, still the negative side has to be equally discussed in the body para 2. Then this is the new paragraph that you are learning, that is the third paragraph. This would start like comparatively the benefits in terms of dash and dash are short term. For example, you wanted to prove it to be a negative development, then of course you're going to say that the benefits are short term, those are temporary. Here in the dotted dashes, you might use the keywords for the benefits, but the risk related to dash has severe impact in the long run. So this is one way of using the body para 3 when where you're going to prove that the negative side is bigger, it is a permanent negative impact. The risk is going to have an impact in the long run. Or you may use the other way around. Comparatively, the risks in term of this and this are short term. Sometimes for a particular situation, the risks are only temporary and they can be easily managed. So you might use the keywords for the risks that you just mentioned in the darker side paragraph. So you might just relate to them and tell that those are short term, but the benefits related to this are going to be there in the long run. So what is the main crux of this paragraph? You are comparing the benefits from body para 1 against the drawbacks from body para 2 on the basis of the impact that they have, whether they have a temporary impact or a long term impact. So that thing will help you to rationally compare and prove which side is bigger or has a larger impact. If we talk about the conclusion, you might start the paragraph saying, to conclude, mention the topic situation and say it has both positive and negative aspects, but it does more good than harm. If it is a positive development, you would say it does more good than harm. Otherwise, if it is a negative development, you might end your conclusion saying it does more harm than good. Now that you're thorough with the structure and each paragraph's content, let us take a sample question and see how we had to write about that. The question that is here in front of us is, more and more people socialize online rather than face to face. And the prompt is, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages of this situation? If you read the prompt statement thoroughly, they're not just asking us to tell what are the advantages and disadvantages. They're not asking us to just discuss them. They have used a comparative word outweigh over here. It means that we need to write the comparative essay. So we use this structure that we just learned. We will start with the introduction. This yellow part is the topic statement that I have rephrased. Online socialization has become increasingly popular. Then in the black font, we have written the thesis statement clearly telling them which side is bigger. Though this trend has its own share of merits and demerits, yet the disadvantages of this trend outweigh the advantages. So I'm very clear that the negative side is bigger, the disadvantages outweigh. This clarity should be presented in your introduction itself so that your examiner can get to know what to expect in the further paragraphs. Then the body para 1 is about the benefits only. Two benefits will be provided here. Let's see, on the brighter side, online socialization offers convenience and accessibility. So I'm putting two sub ideas in here uh, together to elaborate. People can connect with others across geographical distances and time zones, fostering global connections and communities. So we know that by doing the online communication or socialization, we can connect to anybody around the world. For example, most Indians use Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat to make international friends. How to develop this idea further? This helps in building a global community. Then it's time to present the second benefit. Not only this, social media platforms also provide a sense of anonymity because you can be there without telling people your actual identity, which can help individuals overcome social anxiety and build confidence. There are so many people who are not able to make friends face to face, so it's a boon for them that they can hide their identity and they can still talk to other people, express their emotions, and make their circles bigger by keeping their confidence upright because they know that they are not going to be there face to face meeting those people. So I have presented these two main ideas over here. Now it's time to write the darker side of this aspect. On the darker side, excessive online socialization has severe consequences. What's the first? It can lead to issues such as social isolation, decreased face to face communication skills, and deepened feelings of loneliness. We know that people will be socially isolated, though they might have many friends on their Facebook or Instagram page, but they might not be having anyone with whom they can actually enjoy or cry. And because they don't meet, their communication skills will be hampered. To explain, online interactions often lack depth and authenticity, creating a false sense of connection. They just have a sense that they have many people with them, but actually that's a false feeling. Also, the second idea, the constant stream of created and manipulated content can perpetuate unrealistic expectations and promote consumerism. We know that nowadays on the social media, most of the content is just created to please the eyes or to please the ears of the viewers. That's not the actual lifestyle of the people. So the people who view them constantly start getting unrealistic expectations about their lifestyle also, and it also encourages the people to buy the things that other people are buying on the social media, or they are promoting on the social media, or maybe they are just showing it on the social media. So I have written two drawbacks. One is social isolation, and other is that people start following unrealistic lifestyles for themselves. Then it is the time to compare these two aspects. Let's see how we have compared. Online socialization can have serious long-term effects. So I'm telling that the serious effects are long-term. On the basis of timeline of the impact, I'm comparing that the negative side is bigger because it is going to impact for the longer duration of time. How it might affect? It can have serious long-term effects on mental health, particularly among young people. Examples are cyberbullying or FOMO, that's fear of missing out, and pressure to present a perfect online persona can all take a toll on individual self-esteem and well-being. So I've written about the negative side, how it can impact the social, personal, as well as mental health of a person. And I have also mentioned that the benefits are only short term, right? The friends that we make or the confidence that we gain through anonymity, those are short term benefits only. So I just need to mention that the other side is short term. Now it's time to wrap up the essay in the conclusion. So conclusion is very crisp and precise. In conclusion, Though online socialization offers some benefits, so I have just mentioned the topic situation, online socialization, it offers some benefits. Though it does so, it does more harm than good. But it does more harm than good means it's more of a negative development in long term. I hope that you have learned this essay structure. This is one of the most difficult essay prompt to be responded. So I believe that you must be practicing this type of essays more frequently so that you can clearly identify the prompt, and also you are in the habit of writing 5 paragraphs in this time span of 40 minutes. Thank you.